We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karane Vishuniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Mashabhiryajatraha Stirairangaihi Sustuvagam Sastanovihi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuhu Swasti na Indro Vriddasravaha Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedaha Swasti nastakshorarishthanemihi Swasti no brihaspatirdadato Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Mandukya Upanishad, the Shankara Bashyam. We have covered 5 mantras. The main topic of this Upanishad is analysis of Omkara and analysis of Chatushpad Atma. That is what is said in the first mantra and the second mantra. The third mantra talks about the waking state. The fourth deals with dream state. The fifth dealt with sleep state. The sixth mantra, which we are going to cover today, is also going to deal with the sleep state. The individual is not only what he experiences in the waking state. This is the most important thing we should understand when we study Mandukya Upanishad. The total view of the individual personality is he is a waker, he is a sleeper, he is a dreamer, and he is beyond all the 3 states. This is the central message of Mandukya Upanishad. Waker, dreamer, sleeper is my incidental status. My real status is I am a conscious being. I am a spiritual being. That spiritual being has no birth, it has no death. The body has birth, the body has death. But the inner content of the body is the spirit inside the body. It is not the mind. It is not the physical body. It is not the causal body in which we sleep. It is something beyond all the 3 bodies. It is beyond the 3 avasthas, the 3 states. And that is what is called as Turiyam Atma in this Mandukya Upanishad. So the goal for us is to reach and to understand what is Turiya Atma, hold on to it for our freedom from persecutions of the body and the mind. The inner freedom which we will enjoy by holding on to the Turiya Atma is the central message. Waking, dream, and sleep are just incidental topics. They will be taken up, and in the 7th mantra, they will be dropped. This is the outline of Mandukya Upanishad. From the 8th mantra to the 12th mantra, we'll be studying meditation on Omkara, the 3 alphabets, matras, A, U, Ma. And then what lies beyond the A, U, Ma, which is called as a matra, which is not a matra, the silence portion of the Omkara. So this in short is the 12 mantras of Mandukya Upanishad. And then we study the Karikas, the commentary on these 12 mantras written by Gaudapada Acharya, on which Shankaracharya has written a commentary. So Shankara Bashyam is a commentary on a commentary written by his grand guru. So we are studying two commentaries. It is very much in detail, and the depth you can get into in Mandukya Upanishad is amazing. You can never find this depth in any other Upanishad. And if you go through these bhashyams, you will be able to understand what the real content of this Upanishad is. With this, I will go into where we stopped last week. We are supposed to start the sixth mantra.
येष सर्वेश्वरः येष सर्वेश्वरः येष सर्वज्ञः एष सर्वज्ञः येषोऽन्तर्यामी येषोऽन्तर्यामी येष योनिः सर्वस्य येष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवाप्ययौ हि भूतानां प्रभवाप्ययौ हि भूतानां ये स सर्वेश्वरः येष सर्वज्ञ येष सर्वेश्वरः.
So the sixth mantra is a very, very loaded mantra. It has got a lot of inner meaning inside. On the outlook of it, it looks very simple, but it is extremely loaded mantra. You have to understand every single word in this mantra. Here, the description of Ishwara is given. Ishwara is the Lord of all. Lord of all, I will explain to you all this because as we go through the slides, you will go through the meanings of all this. He is the knower of everything. He is the inner controller of all the beings. Because he is the controller, he is the cause of. He is the ground for origination and dissolution of beings. Very, very important mantra in the entire Upanishadic literature, because if you can understand this mantra properly, the whole Upanishadic secret will be revealed to you. Let us try to make an attempt to understand what this sleep state is. The sleep state can be looked at from two different viewpoints. A sleeper can be looked at as a Jiva who doesn't know anything in the sleep. That is called as negative meaning of the sleeper, which is basically an ignorant Jiva. This is one way of analyzing the sleep state. This is how most of us who are ajnanis will relate. In the sleep state, if you ask me, who am I? I am ignorant about everything. So Ignorance is my nature in sleep state. That is what 99.9% of the people will tell if they are not exposed to Mandukya Upanishad. The moment you come to Mandukya Upanishad, the Upanishad turns the entire meaning into a positive meaning. The Upanishad says that the sleep avastha, Sushupti avastha, is an unmanifest state of the individual, which we all know. We don't know our body, we don't know our mind, we don't know the world. Upanishad goes forward and tells us it is the unmanifest state of Ishwara also. But then the difference between a Jiva and Ishwara is Ishwara knows his nature. I am all. I am everything in the universe because of the description of Ishvara mentioned in the sixth one. So there are several Upanishads which tells us if you want to realize who you are in the waking state, try to understand your nature in the sleep state. We have gone through the nature of our sleep state. In the previous mantra itself, we studied that we are eki bhutaha, we are in undifferentiated condition. I can't differentiate myself with the body or mind or the world. That is what is called as prajnana ghanam. That is what we saw in the previous mantra, the fifth mantra. But in the sixth mantra, the Upanishad takes a huge leap and tells us that you are merging with Ishvara in the sleep state. Therefore, you are God. You are God in the sleep state. In the waking state and the dream state, we have Visesha Jnanam. Whereas in the sleep state, we have Swarupa Jnanam. Swarupa means, what is my nature? Is this my real nature in the waking state? No. That is what the Upanishad is trying to tell us. The Upanishad is giving us a leap in our understanding of ourselves in this mantra. That is why this mantra is very, very important. Not only in this Upanishad, but whenever you do any other Upanishad, if you want to understand the essence of that Upanishad, whether it is Katha Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, or any other Upanishad, Shvetashvara Upanishad, any Upanishad you want to study, you must know this mantra of Mandukya Upanishad clearly. If you are not able to understand, you can ask the questions at the end of the talk or any time, so that the whole moksha, the whole freedom from persecutions of your body and mind depends on the knowledge of this mantra. After this mantra, on the seventh mantra, is the freedom mantra, is where your description of a free person is given. As a free person, what I am. That is what is stated in the seventh mantra. But here it gives us the methodology of trying to understand how I can claim my freedom. And I can logically accept it. In the second and the third chapter, we are going to study the logical way of understanding this truth. And in the fourth chapter, we are going to study how I can negate other philosophers. The other philosophers are Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Buddhism, Jainism, Charvakas, Purva Mimamsa. There are different schools of thought. In chapter 4, Gaudapada takes effort in negating all those other philosophers and saying that Advaitam is the only truth for moksha. For moksha means you must be clear of what is moksha. Moksha means I need to be free from the identification with this body as me. Body is going through the three states, waking, dream, sleep. Automatically this is going on as per the law of karma. It is the truth of the Vyavaharika world, but it is not the ultimate truth. Ultimate truth is Aham Turiya Atma Asmi. Prajna is omniscient, omnipotent Ishwara. Omniscient means all knowledge belongs to that prajna. Prajna here means Ishwara. Omnipotent means it has the Maya Shakti in it, which can project the entire waking world, and it can also project the dream world. So this one, the Sushupti Avastha, is the gateway, is the doorway for experiencing both the worlds. So Jnani, once he understands this truth, he is awake to his nature all the time, because Turiyam becomes irrelevant then. Waking dream is an incidental thing, but the most relevant for a jnani is Turiya Avastha, which is a pure consciousness, pure existence without any medium. On waking up, I ask the question, how am I omniscient? As waker identified with the body-mind complex, we cannot claim I am omniscient. Omniscient means I know everything in the world. But as Turiya Avastha, that means as the Prajna or Ishwara, which is also in unmanifest condition, in which in that Ishwara, all the human beings are resting in their own individual sleep. When they rest, the whole world comes to an end for them, for the individual. Here we are always talking about the individual Jiva. You are an individual Jiva, I am an individual Jiva. I'm trying to understand what is my inner self. You are trying to understand what is your inner self. The inner self of all of us is Turiya Atma. You have to go into that ultimate level to say, I am free. During sleep, we are not identified with any particular mind. What is left behind is omniscience. Shankaracharya refers to Chandogya Upanishad, 6th chapter, 8th section, in this portion of the Bhashyam. It's an extremely important mantra. Keep this mantra. I'm going to give you the mantra in the next slide. It is the most important mantra for those people who want to know that they are one with God in the sleep state. That is the pramanam. See, in Advaita Vedanta, we always use Veda as pramanam, as a source book of our vision. For everything, we go back to the Veda. We don't use our own logic. Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Bauddhas, all of them, they use only logic. They forget Veda. Veda becomes secondary. That is what is said in the 4th chapter. That is how Gaudapada says that everybody is looking at only logic and they forget Veda. But Shankaracharya always uses the Veda as a pramana. Here in this commentary, you see, we are studying Shankaracharya's Bhashyam. So these are the commentaries of Shankaracharya on the sixth verse. We have studied 60 paragraphs of commentaries by Shankaracharya so far. This is the 61st Bhashyam. I have numbered each of these Bhashyam. You will not find this anywhere else in any other text. It is my way of trying to explain how to understand the Bhashyams. Prajna alone abides in his Karana Swarupam. What is Karana Swarupam? It is the third pada, the sleep state. What is Karya Padam? The first pada, waking state, and the dream state, the second pada, they are both Karya Padams. They are the products. What is the cause? Cause is the sleep state. But in the sleep state, who is the cause? It is the Lord. There is the presence of the Jiva. There is a presence of Ishwara, both together in the Prajna Avastha. Even in waking state, there is a presence of Jiva and Ishwara. In the dream also, Jiva and Ishwara. But the speciality of sleep Sushupti Avastha is the Upanishad and Shankaracharya, they say that it is the Karana Avastha in which there is nothing else except the consciousness. It is unlike the waking and the dream state. Anyesham eva. That is what is said in the Chandogya Mantra, chapter 6, 8 section 2nd. So anytime anybody wants to analyze the sleep avastha, he has to go to this particular mantra, which clearly tells that the Jiva merges with Ishvara in the sleep state. But again, the Jiva comes out in the waking state. He doesn't remain as Ishvara. Why? Because of prarabdha karma. Okay, that is what we should understand. Why do I get up in the morning every day? It is because of prarabdha karma. The body has to do certain actions in the world. The body has to enjoy certain things. The body has to interact with many people in the world because all the prarabdha of other people are also connected with my prarabdha. My daughter, my son, my mother, my father, their prarabdhas are connected with me. So it is a interconnected world of prarabdha. Karma is the entire waking state. Prajna remains in his own karanam, which is Ishvara Swarupam. So Prajna is a Swarupa Avastha. What is my nature? My nature is pure consciousness. Without the body, I am explaining, I am repeating this again and again, so that your mind can slowly try to understand there is something which is without the body and mind and the world. Body, mind, and world is incidental. But my nature as consciousness is eternal. This Lord is called Sarva Ishvara. He's the Lord of all. Where do all the beings they go back? Where do they all rest in the sleep? It is in this Ishvara. Ishvara is one, but human beings are many. But all of them, their body and mind are different. But their resting ground, resolution ground is one. Sarvasya Ishitaha, ruler, governor of the entire creation. Because even the even the mountains and the rivers and the sun and the planet and the cosmos, they all resolve into this. The prapancha itself resolves. This is Tattvabodha. In Tattvabodha, I have explained that there is three prapanchas and there is three sharira. All of them, they resolve into Ishwara. The differentiated condition is conditioned consciousness, which is what is waking and dream. Where the jnana indriyas, they have a relevant devata and then which controls the jnana indriyam. Similarly, karma indriyams have got a devata. It is mentioned in Tattvabodha. The antakarna also has a devata. But all the devatas of individual, for example, eyes. For the eyes, the Surya is the devata. For the ears, Dik devata. For the mind, it is Chandra devata. So the devatas have got limited powers, but all the devatas are under the controller of Ishvara. There is a master of the entire cosmos. In Taittiriya Upanishad, it says this particular verse, it will say that there is one controller for the Panchabhutas also. Through the fear of that Ishvara, the wind blows, the sun rises, the moon rises, the Lord of Death, Yamadharmaraja, he is activated by that Ishvara. So there is no material living being, material living, no matter which is separate from this consciousness principle. So this is the mantra which I was talking about. Before this world was manifest, there was only existence. And before this manifestation, there was only Ishvara. There is only one Chaitanya. So Sushupti Avastha is very distinct. Why is it distinct? Because I don't experience any matter. Matter is experienced in Jagrat and Sopna. Matter means Panchabhutas. The inner world is in Sopna. Outer world is in Jagrat. But Prajna, there is only Chetanam. Chetanam means consciousness. So the sixth chapter, the sixth chapter, the eighth section, here it says that like a bird which comes back to its rest, to rest in a nest. So all the birds, they will fly all over the world. Like the human body, mind will go around the whole world. But finally it will come to rest. Where does it come to rest? It will come to rest in Prajna Avastha. So Prajna is a vital force. It is very, very powerful. Ishvara. It is Ishvara. So from this Prajna Avastha, the entire Jagrat and Swapna is projected. That is what is said in Chandogya Upanishad. It is said in Mandukya Upanishad. So resting place is only one. In Chandogya Upanishad, there is this one verse in the 8th chapter which talks about the 8 gunas of Ishvara. See, Ishvara is Nirakaraha. Nirakara means he is formless. But he has got gunas. Guna. What are the 8 gunas of Ishvara? Why I'm bringing it up? This is an additional point which is not quoted by Shankaracharya. I just brought it up in today. I just got this inserted today in the notes. I want to explain to you that there is a controller. Here it only talks about inner controller, omniscient, sarvagya and all that. The same thing is mentioned in Chandogya also, where it says that these are the 8 qualities of Ishvara. Anytime you want to know who is that God, many times we go to in front of the Murti in temples. Our goal should be to understand what is behind that Murti. Murti is only a representation to take my mind to the Karana Brahman. To take my mind to that Ishvara, which is the cause of this entire universe. So when I pray to God in a temple, you're praying to that Ishvara, which is the cause of this whole universe, which has got these 8 qualities. What are the 8 qualities? Sarvajnaha. Sarvajnaha means he is the. See, why do we say this? You must try to understand Sarvajna principle. Sarvajna means he knows everybody's mind. Why he knows everybody's mind? Because he is a sakshi to all the minds in the universe. He is inside this body mind complex, and he is a sakshi. So suppose I say I am sakshi of this mind, then I am taking the role of that Ishvara in this body. Every mind is is uh, uh, is activated. That comes in the 6th point. It is activated by that Ishvara only, as per the karma phalams. See, we hear in the law of karma that there is a karma phala data, which is Ishvara, and who is giving us the fruits of actions. All our past actions, sanchita karma becomes prarabdha karma. Now, how does he control? Because he is the knower of the mind, and through the mind, he controls the law of karma. That is why he is called as Sarvajnaha. Sarva Antaryami, inner controller of all the human beings, all the living beings. Antaryami is a very beautiful term used in this 6th mantra of uh, in the 6th mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. When you go through that mantra, you will find this word Antaryami. Yami means control. Antaryami means inner control. Sarva Sankalpaha. Sarva Sankalpa means his thought will always fructify. So when you pray to the Lord and pray to him, oh Lord, bless me, I should pass my exams. You're trying to put a thought in the mind of Ishwara to bless you. So when he blesses you, he is the knower of all the minds, and he can bless because he's the control. Sarva Swatantraha. Swatantraha means he is independent. Jiva is dependent on Ishvara for everything in the world. Satyakamaha. His desires are always fulfilled. When the Lord desires, he will fulfill the desire. For example, Srishti, Sthiti, Layam. These are some of the desires which he has. He can even desire to make you a crorepati. He can even desire. You see, these are all as per the karma phalas. Sarva prerak tattva. He is the activator of your mind. All of us go to sleep. But why do we wake up? Suppose you don't put an alarm. Who wakes you up? It is the Lord in the form of karma phala data. He is a kripalu. Kripalu means compassionate. He has compassion for you. He gives you the pariharas for taking care of sorrows in life. He also gives us this Atma Jnanam so that you can come out of the sorrows. He is Sarva Shaktiman. Very easy to understand because If he is projecting the whole universe, he must be very, 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 very powerful. So in the seventh section, in the eighth chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, which Shankaracharya quotes, he says that if you can meditate on the qualities, on the gunas of Ishvara, then you will be free from sorrow. You will be free from identification with this body. So he gives this meditation in the Chandogya Upanishad, and he says that there is that Ishvara which has no sin, which has no death, who has no death or sorrow, no hunger or thirst for Ishvara, and all desires are fulfilled, whose will is fulfilled. That Ishvara, if you come to know and within your own self, you will be powerful. That is what is said in the Chandogya Upanishad. I pulled out that mantra from Chandogya Upanishad so that it gives you a slightly better understanding of the sixth verse of Mandukya. So, with this analysis, Sarva Ishvara, one word has been analyzed. Now, the next word they are talking about is omniscient. Ishvara being omniscient. Why is he called omniscient? Because all knowledge of all the beings belong to Ishvara. Ahameva sarvajna jnata, everything is known by the Lord because he is the power behind our mind. There is some spiritual power behind all our minds. You must accept that fact. Then only you can progress in Vedanta. The next Bhashyam topic for given by Shankaracharya is, he says, the sleeper alone becomes the knower of everything identified in the waking and the dream state. So in the sleep state, it is prajnana ghanaha. That means it is one mass of homogeneous mass where everything has been, all the Visesha Jnanam becomes one general knowledge principle, which is called as Chaitanya. From that Chaitanya only, through all our minds, it becomes Visesha Jnanam. That is what Shankaracharya is saying in this. These are all very fine analysis of the sixth mantra by Shankaracharya. Ishvara is aparoksha atma. Aparoksha atma means what? I can directly feel that Ishvara in my own body, mind, consciousness. That Ishvara has entered the Sukshma Shariram and the Sthula Shariram of all living beings, whether it is an animal, bird, plant, in everywhere where there is a prana. Prana means it is the life force which is pulsating in all the living beings. From that Ishvara, from that Chaitanyam principle, this whole universe becomes projection. Therefore, that Ishvara is called as Sarva Yonihi. Yonihi means it is the womb of creation. Bhagavad Gita also says this, that Lord Krishna is the Yoni, Sarva Yoni. Yoni means the womb of creation. And not only the womb of creation, from here only origination comes and dissolution also comes up. Prabhava and Apyaha. Prabhava means origination. Apyaha means dissolution. So when we leave this body, even in our sleep state, what happens? We are with Ishvara. When the body drops off, sometime in our life, we again go back to Ishvara. So there is nothing to worry about. There should not be any sorrow or grief in the world because of death. That is what Lord Krishna wants to say in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So Ishwara's description, if you want to know a little bit more, which is the text you should study? You should study Panchadasi. There are 30 verses in chapter 6 of Panchadasi. Verse number 158 to 188. The same four Sarve Ishwara, Sarvajnaha, Sarva Antaryami, Sarva Yoni is described in 30 verses. The nature of Ishwara. It's called Chitra Deepa Prakaranam of Panchadasi. Now, Ishwara's description is also there in Dakshinamurti Stotra. Ashtaguna Ishwara. It is the every scriptural text you will find all of this. It will be the same eight what we discussed now in Chandogya Upanishad in different forms. It will be given as the powers of that one principle which is available to us, but it is not known because it is invisible. So prajna is not only the individual who is jiva who is sleeping, but it is also the resting ground where Ishvara is available. That is what we should understand from the sixth mantra. Conditioned consciousness is the waking and dream, which is moving. But in the sleep condition, it becomes unconditioned. That means there is no conditioning involved in the sleep avastha. In the karana avastha, there is no difference between vyashti and samashti. Vyashti means jiva, jivatma with inferior qualities. Samashti means ishvara with superior qualities. So there is one state in which we all realize our oneness with Ishvara. Don't forget this point. Use this mantra, sixth mantra, as the pramanam and remove all the fears in your mind and say, I am with Ishvara. That's all. One mantra, you try to take it up, you can remove your fear of death. Try to understand this mantra very well. At Vishwa and Taijasa levels, there are many Vyashti and Samashti which we can experience. There are many bodies in creation, which is Vyashti. There is one Ishvara which controls all this body, which is Samashti. So one Ishvara appears through the minds as the knower in each mind. Whether it is Einstein's intellect, whether it is Newtonian intellect, whether it is the knowledge in all the libraries and universities in the world, there is only one consciousness principle behind all of it. The books in the library themselves are not, they are jadam, but it is the conscious being who goes in search of those books and gets the knowledge from there. So, identified with the Jagrat and Swapana is the Jiva. Identified with the Ishvara is the same Jiva in the Sushupti Avastha. Antaryami means he enters every sthula sukshma sharira. Ishvara enters. We have seen this in Taittiriya Upanishad, Anupravesha mantra, the seventh mantra of Taittiriya Upanishad, which talks about entry means it is like the reflected consciousness. In Vedanta, we call it reflected consciousness. It is not an actual entry, but it is a seeming entry, which we have studied in Taittiriya. Sarvesham bhutanam niyanta. Niyanta means controller. Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddeshe tunatishtati. Amayan sarva bhutani yantra rodhani mayaya. 18th chapter has got two verses which explain the Ishvara principle. The first one is the 61st mantra, which says, inside all the living beings, the Lord dwells in the body, in the mind. It is an invisible power. And what does the second part of the mantra says? As if there is some machine inside all of us, it is controlling our mind. Who is the controller? Ishwara. Ishwara sarva bhutana hriddeshe arjuna tishtati amayan sarva bhutani yantrarudhani mayaya. Therefore, Lord Krishna says in the 66th mantra of Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshashyami ma shuchaha. If you want moksha, surrender to this Ishvara. Surrender to this Ishvara and be free. See how beautiful you can see the connection between Mandukya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Dakshinamurti Stotram, and this Bhagavad Gita shlokas. What do you mean by surrendering to the Lord? Surrender your ego. I am not the controller of this body. You are the controller. I will follow whatever you are asking me to do. Whatever I experience in my life, it is Ishvara Prasada, Karma Yoga principle. Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, Ishvara Prasada Buddhi. So in all Karana Shariram, Punya Papam are gradually fructified. It is not all of a sudden you will experience all the joys and sorrows in the world. No. Slowly, as in different ages, youth, childhood, middle age, then you come into old age. Slowly, as you progress in life, you slowly the prarabdha karma, punya papam, they fructify. Every day. This verse is a very beautiful verse which connects the law of karma applicable to our life. Many people feel that is that a will controls our life, or it is prarabdha karma which controls our life. Here very clearly it says it is prarabdha karma. Okay, this mantra I have already discussed. Ishvara sarva bhutanam esha yonihi. Yoni means it is the efficient cause and the material cause. For example, gold is the yoni for all the ornaments. Wood is the yoni for all the furniture. So similarly, for the entire world, Ishvara is the yoni. Yoni means it is the upadana karanam and also the nimitta karanam. That means the intelligent cause and the material cause is this Ishvara. And he is the one who enters the Sthula Shariram and Sukshma Shariram as given in Anupravesha Stuti. So, the universe has got differences, but the controller is only one. What are the differences we see in the universe? Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, and Adi Daivika. I have explained this many times. Adhyatmika means differences in our own body. My mind is different than my heart. My heart is different than my hand. Adi Bhautika means differences in the Panchabhutas. Adi Daivika means natural forces. So Ishvara generates the whole universe, and therefore he is called as Sarvasya Yonihi. See, all this you should know that you are trying to understand the Sushupti Avastha. Because all these words are only words, but you should try to understand the meaning behind them. In the Karanam, the differences are invisible. But when it in the Karyam, like for example, right now it is a Karanam or Karyam. Jagrat is a Karanam or Karyam. It is a Karyam. What is the Karanam? Sushupti Avastha. In the Sushupti Avastha, everything becomes into one invisible mass of consciousness. Beyond that mass of consciousness, there is something called as Turiyam. That we will see in the next mantra. Here we are trying to understand the Karanam of the Jagat, and Karanam is Ishwara, Karyam is the Jagrat and Swapna Avastha. Prabhavaha and Apyaha. These are the two other words which are used in the sixth mantra. Prabhavaha means he is the Srishti Sthiti Karanam. Ishvara is the creator and the maintainer of this cosmos. Apyaya. Apyaya means what? He is the resolution ground, Laya Karanam also. If you understand the nature of Ishvara, then you will be able to understand and claim moksha. Because once you have understood that body and mind are all dissolved into Ishvara, and Ishvara is the controller of the cosmos, there is something which is beyond that Ishvara. That is what the Upanishad wants to describe in the seventh mantra. But that we are going to study after a long time, because after this we are going to study 9 Karikas, commentaries of Gaudapada on the sleep state. On all the verses from verse 1 to 6, Gaudapada Acharya, the author of Mandukya Upanishad, he is going to give his commentary on the first 6 mantras. And then later on, we will be studying the 7th mantra. So we have to digest these 6 mantras very well. Nimitta Karanam and Upadana Karanam. Nimitta Karanam is the intelligent cause which is indicated by the word Sarvajnaha, means the knower, and knower is always the intelligent cause. Sarva Ishvara, controller, is also the intelligent cause. So the two words which describe Ishvara as Sarvajna and Sarva Ishvara, they refer to the Nimitta Karan, intelligent cause. Ishvara is also the material cause, which is Upadana Karanam, and that is indicated by Sarva Yoni. So, padas are 3. Tritiya pada is Prajna. Vishwa is the Prathama pada, the first pada. Karya pada. Tejasa is the Dvitiya pada, the second pada, also Karya pada. This vision of the universe in this manner, if you have it, you will get moksha for sure. I told you right in the beginning of Mandukya Upanishad. Study Mandukya and moksha is in your lap. You cannot miss it. This is the way to study Mandukya. This is the way to understand the world. Atma, Soyam Atma, Chatushpat, 6 mantras of the Mandukya Upanishad are over with this particular Bhashyam of Shankaracharya. What is Turiyam? Turiyam is my ultimate nature, which is beyond the Karya and Karanam. It is always free. Turiyam is always free. But Karanam and Karya Padas are never free. They are always in cycle. Eternally. That is what is called as Maya Shakti. So, Karanam Brahma is with Maya Shakti. It is called as Ishwara. Karanam Brahma without the Maya Shakti is called as Turiya. This is what is explained in Vichara Sagara, very brilliant text. In that text, towards the end of the text, the teacher wants to give a clarity to the student. The final clarity he gives is the same clarity you will get in Mandukya. Once again, I'll repeat that Turiya is Brahman. Statement number one. Pure Brahman, pure consciousness, pure existence without the world. The moment you bring the world and trying to understand the world, it becomes Karanam Brahma. That Karanam Brahma is Ishwara. Where do I experience that Ishwara? In the sleep state. I become one with that Ishwara. And what is the Jagrat and Swapna? It is only Karyam. Can you see the grand vision? The grand vision is Turiyam is beyond everything. Karanam is the third pada. Sushupti avastha. Karyam is Jagrat and Swapna. Where I can see my body, I can experience the world. This is all incidental. Both the waking and the dream are Karya Padas. Try to understand this very clearly. The second chapter and the third chapter is based on this Karyam and Karanam. Karanam is Sushupti. Karyam is Jagrat and Swapna. Okay, good. The Anvaya is the explanation of the two verses, the 5 and 6. I'll just do a quick revision of what we have studied in the 6 mantras so far. Upanishad introduced us initially 2 inquiries. One is called as Omkara Vichara. Another is called as Atma Chatushpat Vichara. Mantra number 1 talks about Omkara. Om iti etat, sarvam etat. That means Om is this entire universe. And then in the second mantra it says, I am Atma Brahma. Brahman is everything. If Brahman is everything, Atma is everything, and Om is everything, I can use Omkara to understand Atma. Then we started discussing what is Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. Vishwa, we have analyzed in the third mantra. It is the same Turiyam, it is one consciousness which is given the name Vishwa. When it is experiencing a physical body, you are experiencing your physical body, you are called as Vishwa. I am experiencing my physical body, I am also called as Vishwa. But don't forget that Vishwa is the name of consciousness. When it is identified with the physical body, when it is identified with the mind in the dream state, it is called as Taijasa. When it is identified in the causal body in the sleep state, it is called as Prajna. Okay. So basically, it is one consciousness appearing as the Vyashti and Samashti. Vyashti is the Vishwa, Samashti is the Virat. Vyashti is the Taijasa, Samashti is Hiranyagarbha. Vyashti is the Prajna, Samashti is the Ishwara. See, these are 6 terms we are using. So, Sushupti, the third pada, in the 5th mantra, we talked about Prajna being the state of the mind when it is resting. And in that restful state, it is equated to Antaryami. Very important point. In the 5th mantra, we are mainly talking about our mind going to rest. But what the Upanishad says is, when the mind is resting, at that time, in the Sushupti Avastha, the whole universe can also become unmanifest, which is what is called as Ishwara. And in the 6th mantra, Ishwara is defined as Sarva Ishwara, Sarvajnaha, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Antaryami, Sarva Yoni, and the Karanam of the Jagat. Ishwara is related both as the Upadana Karanam and Nimitta Karanam. We have studied this point in the Mandukya Upanishad, where we said that both the Karanams are possible, and we gave the spider example. How the spider builds uh, builds a hive and then it drops down through its own saliva, it builds hive. So just try to remember that. Then we talked about Prabhavaha and Apyayo. That means the Srishti Karanam, Laya Karanam, Sthiti Karanam. All of these are nothing but function of Ishvara. So the first 3 padas, if you see, take in the view of Vedantic analysis, the first 3 padas are nothing but adhyaropa, superimposition of the waking dream and sleep onto consciousness. What are the 6 pairs? Vishwa Virat, Taijasa Hiranyagarbha, Prajna Ishvara. They are all adhyaropa for the sake of understanding what lies as the central essence of this whole creation. The 4th pada is the negation of the 3 padas. In Turiya, what we will be doing, we will say that consciousness, there exists a consciousness in which there is no external world, no internal world, and no causal world. That Thuriam is ultimately the truth of this entire universe. That is the Vastu. That is the Advaita Vastu. So Ishvara is also negated in the 4th pada. The 7th mantra is the 4th pada's description. Okay. That we are going to see maybe after about a month or so. We'll take 4 or 5 sessions or maybe more to study the Karikas. What is a Karika? Karika is a commentary of Gaudapada to analyze and to make our knowledge more firm about the first 6 mantras. Okay. There are 9 Karikas. I'm going to use the word Karika throughout Mandukya Upanishad because that is the way Mandukya Upanishad describes the verses. Another term which we can easily use, like how we use verse, verse we use in other Upanishads and also in Bhagavad Gita and any other text, we use verses. But here, the specialty is we call it Karika. So there are and the mantra means Upanishadic mantra. So try to keep this in mind. Whenever I say 6th mantra, it means the Upanishadic mantra. Whenever I say the sixth Karika, fifth Karika, it means it is the commentary of Gaudapada Acharya on these mantras. Totally, there are 29 Karikas in the first chapter. 29 verses. The first 9 verses, they are on mantras 1 to 6. The next 9 mantras, 9 Karikas, are on the 7th mantra. Okay. Now we'll study the introduction to chapter 1, Karika number 1. What does Shankaracharya talk about as the introduction to the first Karika? The first Karika basically is just trying to consolidate our teaching. That there are 3 avasthas, there are 3 padas, and so on. With regard to the first 3 padas, the following Karikas are there with regard to the teaching mentioned in the Upanishadic mantras. Okay, very simple to understand. Gaudapada says that I am now going to comment on the 3 padas, which is the 6 mantras of the first chapter. The first chapter is called as Agama Prakaranam. Okay, now what is the first Karika? This has been chanted by Vijaya. Let's try to play it, and then next week I will go into the details of this Karika.
बहिष्प्रज्ञो विभुर्विश्वः बहिष्प्रज्ञो विभुर्विश्वः यन्तः प्रज्ञस्तु तेजसः यन्तः प्रज्ञस्तु तेजसः घनप्रज्ञस्तथा प्राज्ञा घनप्रज्ञस्तथा प्राज्ञा एक एव त्रिधा स्मृतः एक एव त्रिधा स्मृतः.
Now here, Gaudapada starts giving us his analysis of the first 6 mantras of Mandukya Upanishad. Here in the first Karika, it's a very simple. All these Karikas are very simple. You only have to understand the gist of it. Vishwa is the first quarter. See, always remember, we must remember the technical terms used in Mandukya. Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna. These are of the individual level. Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishwara, Antaryami. This is at the Samashti level, at the total level. So the first quarter is dealing with the one consciousness, all-pervading consciousness, which is experiencing the gross objects, that is called as Vishwadravika. Same consciousness. When it is cognizing the internal mind, is called as Taijasa. Same consciousness, when it is cognizing the mass of consciousness, which is called as Pra. He alone is thus known as the 3 names in 3 different planes of consciousness. This last portion you should remember very well. We are not talking about different individuals here when it comes to the 3 names. Vishwa, Taijasa, and Prajna are all one name of Turiya Atma. So what is the common name for all of us? We all can say our common name is Turiya Atma. Okay. So, Bahish Prajna is the nature of consciousness. What consciousness? Pure consciousness. When it is related to the external world. And when all the three states are not there, it is called as Turiya. We are able to recognize that we are present in the sleep state, we are present in the dream state, and we have a memory of those states in the waking state because of the presence of Turiya Atma. The Turiya Atma is the common denominator, and Shankaracharya quotes Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, one mantra, which gives the example of a whale, and he will explain to us. We have done this, I think, in Taittiriya Upanishad also. But anyway, we'll take this up next week. I will start with this verse, with this slide 312 next week. So with this, I close Mandukya Upanishad. Oh. Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, there are no comments on the chat box. In case you have any questions, and you can ask your questions.
So can I ask, Vishal?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So just can we summarize the hierarchy starting from the Brahman and Turiyam on top? Then we have, under that we have Ishwara, and that under that we have Deva. Is that the right?
Yes, you're right.
And then under
Brahman is
Deva,
at the top, Ishwara is in the middle, and then there are Devatas. So Devatas are Vishnu, Shiva, Ganesha, Surya, Yamadevata, Agni Devata. All are individual Devatas, but all of them are under Ishwara.
So Ishwar also, like how Ishwar also has a name. I mean, like how we have Brahma, Vishnu, and like they are the Devtas. Ishwara also, there is an example. I mean, like I understand that the Brahman is unmanifested and there is no, but Ishwara, is there something?
No. See, one thing you should understand, what is the meaning of praying? Okay. I'll start from where we are at the moment. First of all, we all have got our own individual Ishta Devatas. You may have Shiva, you may have Devi, you may have Vishnu, you may have Surya Devata, you may have Ganesha, you may have Muruga, you may have Ayyappa, you may have all this. In Vichara Sagara, there is a very beautiful analysis which is made, which talks about the details of how should I meditate with reference to with reference to all these devatas. Who is the greatest devata I should meditate on? I'm just giving you something from Vichara Sagara so that you are able to understand this concept better, because you have a very valid question, valid point. See, in Vichara Sagara, the author is answering a question from one student who is asking, there are so many devatas which are mentioned in the Puranas. In the Puranas, in Vishnu Purana, the Vishnu is glorified and then other devatas are degraded. In Shiva Purana, in Shiva is glorified. Other gods are degraded. In Devi Purana, same thing happens. So when you are when you are praying to one god, then what happens is that the other devatas, the people who are praying to one devata, they will not stop and say that, I am praying to this devata and glorify devata. But what happens is, one school of devatas, followers of, say, Vishnu, they will start criticizing other devatas.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Vishnu is great, but Shiva is not great.
Yes, sir.
Shiva is great, but Vishnu is not great.
Yes, sir.
But this is answered very beautifully by the author Nischala Dasa in the Vichara Sagara text.
Yes, sir.
And what he's saying there is Vishnu, Shiva, Devi, Surya, Ganesha,
And Krishna? Krishna is also Devta.
Krishna is also a name. It's a name and a form.
Right. The manifested form of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is a Devta.
Yes, it is a Devada's form. Now, what you should remember is you must try to remember to drop the name and form and go behind what is the meaning of that Krishna or Shiva or Vishnu. That is, you should go to find out what is the Karanam Brahma, which is behind all these names and forms. It is one Ishwara, which is called as Vishnu, Shiva, and other devatas. It is only a name given for purpose of puja and upasana.
Yes, sir.
See,
So
suppose I tell you,
Yes, sir.
meditate on formless Brahman. Very difficult.
I understand.
Formless Brahman is the ultimate my nature and Ishwara's nature also. But how do I go step by step? You should understand the names of these devatas are only names for puja and worship and upasana. I pray to, say, Surya Devata so that I can improve my eyesight. I can pray to Chandra Devata, which I can improve my mind. So don't go behind the names and forms. That is the initial phase. There is a controller of all these devatas. It is called as Ishwara. Ishwara is the Saguna form of Brahman.
Yes, sir. Sagun
Brahman,
form of Brahman. Yes,
yeah.
sir.
Ishvara is the Saguna form of Brahman. Brahman is formless.
Nirgun.
Nirgun. Ishvara is also formless. But he's given form as Devi, Vishnu and all that only for puja purposes and upasana, Ishta Devatas.
So my confusion, I'll tell you, my confusion, sir. My confusion in the Bhagavad Gita, there are many paragraphs where the interpretation is that Krishna is above Brahman. The interpretation, like in Bhagavad Gita as it is,
Krishna
Brahman.
is above Brahman.
See, like in Bhagavad Gita as it is of ISKCON, the interpretation by Prabhupada, there are many paragraphs where they say, where they have said that Krishna is above Brahman, which according to me is wrong, but they seem to have glorified Krishna, like you said, now in the Shiv Puran, Shiv is glorified as the people are criticized.
You take that logic. When you come to Vedanta, always remember the hierarchy is Brahman, Ishvara, Devatas.
Yes. Thank you so much, sir. I'm relieved today. Relieved.
Very good.
Shekharji, I said this is a very nice question asked, and often we get into this confusion, which devata or which avatara is the number one.
Correct.
As Bhagavad Gita, as it is, or Prabhupada ji, anyway, is duet. It is part of a duality. So
Yes.
there's the Krishna is one, and the Jiva is separate. So there is
Correct,
no
correct. Yes.
it's not one in a sense. And
Yes.
Krishna therefore is the super god, omniscient, omnipotent, etc.
Yeah.
So that Gita has a different nuance, different connotation, as
Yes.
against the one where if you were to read Shankara's Gita or Chinmayanand's Gita, you'll find that there is a different way of looking at Krishna itself, the manifested form, who's
Yes.
part of that same Brahman. But what I wanted to say was that I was reading somewhere, and I thought may be very interesting that when the Britishers came to India, they were equally confused with this. They say, you got thousands of gods. Who's that number one god? Who's the number one, or who's the supreme god? And I think it took them a long time to understand when finally somebody mentioned or wrote that, one in all and all in one. One
Yes.
Brahman in all name and form, and all of this rolls into one. And that was something, a revelation to them when they realized that there is this one consciousness that permeates through every name and form, including the Devas and Devtas.
Yes.
I thought that was and I remember this because I thought that really captures the essence of the Hinduism, that
Yeah.
one consciousness and all in one.
Good. It is good. You have brought up this point of Dvaitam and all that. It's also another way of looking at the whatever Vishal is asking. Good. Thank you, Deepak.
Thanks.
Anybody else?
Namaste, Shekharji. I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the first question I have is that we have the Bhagavad Gita where we say Purushottama Yoga, the yoga of the supreme person. So we are treating Krishna as supreme there. So and there are in the Bhakti Yoga there are points where it says Avyakta, those who actually worship the Avyakta, that unmanifest, they also come to me. That is specifically mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So it contradicts so it means that Krishna is over and above the Avyakta Brahman. That is what it looks like from that particular, there are particular verses there. So the question is, it seems to, Bhagavad Gita seems to be a reverse of what the Mandukya Upanishad tells in terms of hierarchy. That is the first question.
Okay. Let me answer this first.
Yeah. Okay.
See, when they are talking about Avyakta in the 12th chapter, and it says that Krishna is above the Avyakta, what it means is you should come to the Mandukya. In Mandukya, Avyakta means what? It is Ishwara. It is the sleep state in which we all merge with Ishwara. That Ishwara is Avyakta. It is very difficult for people to meditate on Avyakta. And in the 15th chapter, in the 12th chapter, he is talking about Avyaktam being at the Ishvara level. In the 15th chapter, when he talks about Uttama Purusha is the Purushottama. There he is talking about Brahma. Uttama Purusha means it is ultimately we are talking about Turiya, Brahman. In the 12th mantra, when you talk about unmanifest, we are talking about unmanifest Ishvara, which is the third pada, which we have just studied in the Mandukya. There is no contradiction at all, but only you should correctly interpret it. You should correctly, try to understand the Vedanta, the Upanishad and the Gita. You should try to understand.
Okay, there is an additional question and adjoining question to that. The question is this: you said in the supreme person refers to the Brahman. The question here is that Krishna is referred to as Brahman in that case because he is considered the supreme person there. That's the understanding from the Bhagavad Gita, or is it different?
Okay. Krishna has got two forms. One is his formless nature, another is his formed nature.
Yeah.
Formed nature is for the junior student who wants to cling to Krishna as for his puja, for his upasana. It is for a junior student. The moment, but you should not stay there. That is the formed Krishna. But there is another Krishna which he is talking in the 13th chapter, 14th chapter, 15th chapter, in the 3 chapters of the Jnana Yoga portion of Bhagavad Gita. He talks about Kshetrajna, he talks about Jneyam, he talks about Uttama Purushaha, and he talks about Gunatita Atma. Gunatita Atma means what? Nirguna. So there in the 14th chapter, he's saying, Guna, try to drop all the gunas which you have and go to Gunatita Atma, which is Nirguna Atma, which is Brahman. In the 15th chapter, he says you drop the Kshara Purusha and go to Uttama Purusha. Kshara Purusha and Akshara Purusha are the lower. The Kshara Purusha is the perishable. Akshara Purusha is the imperishable, which is unmanifest condition, or which is the Ishwara. And then he says, go to Uttama Purusha, which is beyond the Kshara and Akshara. In the 13th chapter, he says Kshetrajna. Kshetrajna means what? It is the experiencer Atma, which is Turiya. Okay? So when you study Bhagavad Gita, it caters to all types of students. Junior students, senior students. In the initial phase, you go through the to the actual Krishna in a human form. But when you come to the 10th chapter and the 11th chapter, he says, Vishwarupa Ishwara. The whole Vishwa is my form. The whole world is my form. So from Eka Rupa Ishwara, you have to graduate to Vishwarupa Ishwara, and then you graduate into Arupa Ishwara. Arupa Ishwara is the formless Ishwara. It is the ultimate. Why is it ultimate? Because that is the only thing which will give you moksha. Remember this fact. Knowing the formless nature of God is the ultimate thing which will give me mukti. The Purushartha will come, moksha Purushartha, which is the ultimate goal of all the human beings. You will realize it only from the formless nature of God. Formed nature will always keep me in Dvaitam. Formless will take me to Advaitam, which is moksha. Have you understood this?
Yeah, got it. One final question. You said Saguna Brahman is formless. Saguna with gunas generally should be with form, right? If you are Gunatita, it is so.
Good question. You are a very intelligent student.
Thank you.
Okay. There are two things. Nirakara and Nirgunaha. Okay. Nirakara, in Hindi, you can easily understand. Nirakara means formless. Nirgunaha means without any attributes. Now, ultimately, the nature of God is Nirakaraha. Nirakara means it is a formless Brahman, which is called as Turiya. That is the ultimate, which is what we should try to realize as our own nature also. My own nature is Nirakaraha. I am formless is the ultimate realization of the Jiva. Now, a Nirakara Brahman, formless Brahman, can have gunas, which is called as Sagunam. Nirakara Sagunam is called as Ishwara. You see, formless can also have attributes. It can have. Formless can have attributes. What are the attributes of Ishwara? All the attributes which we discussed today, Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Yonihi, all these are attributes. It doesn't have a form. It is a formless Brahman who has got the Shakti of Maya. Maya is also formless, but it has got attributes. It has got the power. So Nirakara Brahman has Saguna attributes. Whenever we say that Brahman is with attributes, immediately we look at the world and say, this is what is Nirakara Ishwara. Ishwara is also formless. Ishwara can be with form if you only for puja and meditation. Actual quality of Ishwara is he is Sarva Shaktiman, Sarva Yonihi, he is omniscient, he is a knowledge. I mean, see, he is in the mind of all of us. If you want to know that Ishvara, you just close your eyes and say, I am the Sakshi, I am that Ishvara in this body, which is a witness to all my thoughts which are arising in me. Practice this meditation. You will realize that Ishvara in your own body for sure. This is my first meditation exercise which I give to the participants. I am that witness. I am the Sakshi. Whatever I experience in my mind is an object. That way, what are you? That Ishvara is what? It's not form. That Ishvara, that witness, Sakshi is formless. Have I answered your question?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ramesh. You have got very deep questions. I'm glad you asked these. They are very,
Thank
very.
you.
Sir,
Thank you.
one follow-up. Sir, one
Thank you.
follow-up. Then in
Shekharji.
the Bhagavad Gita, then the Vishwaroop, the Krishna shows, then what is that roop? Ek roop is
Vishwarupa is an intermediary step. First step is with form.
Ek Roopa.
With Rupa, which you see Krishna with
Body.
form, with body, with his flute and all that.
Yes,
That
yes.
you can use for meditation, for as an initial student.
Right,
But
sir.
when you are studying Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord himself says, you look at the world, wherever you see the world, that is me only. That is what is called as Vishwarupa.
Okay.
The moment you see, open your eyes in the morning and you see the world, you are seeing Ishvara. That is the second level. That is the second level of understanding what the Lord is. Lord is all pervading in the universe.
Okay, sir.
It is consciousness which is pervading in the universe, and that is what we call it as the Vishwarupa Ishvara. And then you drop the word and say that that is formless.
Understood, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we say that that Vishwarupa you've mentioned is Virat?
Yeah,
The Virat that
Vishwarupa
we are talking about.
100%. You are right. You are right. Absolutely right. Vishwarupa is nothing else but Virat. Virat Ishvara.
Okay.
The same Brahman is experienced, Jiva, Srishti, and Ishvara, and all are in the realm of Maya.
Yes.
And all are in the realm of duality.
Absolutely. Maya
The
means
more-
duality.
Yeah, duality.
Maya means whatever my eyes are seeing, the moment I see my body, I am in Maya. That's all.
The moment you experience this as self, all these three, basically, Ishvara drops. The
Correct.
same Ishvara is not Ishvara, it is the self in me.
That's right. It becomes a self, it becomes Brahman, it becomes Turiya. That's all.
Yeah.
You wait till you see how Gaudapada analyzes all the 6 mantras. There are 9 Karikas which are coming. In the next few weeks, I'll be taking all these Karikas one by one.
Shekharji, having said,
yeah, go ahead, Deepak.
no, I said, having said that, these questions which are asked have no resolution. It is on your own belief on how you want to proceed with the study of Vedanta. Because when I discussed this with the student of ISKCON, and I told him, I said, Krishna in form was a Avtara, but he also died finally. So,
Yeah.
So that aspect of him they don't understand. Or to say that I am the Brahman is not this thing. No, you are not. Krishna and you are separate. If you do good work, you'll go to Vaikunt. There's no
These are
question of the difference. So there are two different schools.
Yeah, they are two different schools, and they have their own strengths. They have their own followers, and who go through their, who go through their studies and who follow them. So we just say, good, you can follow whatever you want, but if you want moksha, come to Vedanta. Come to Advaita Vedanta for moksha. You see, Advaitam does not accepts all these schools of thoughts. It only says that your school of thought will not give moksha, but it will give you other benefits. You see, these are all the stepping stones to come ultimately, because your intellect will not stop asking questions till you get moksha. That is the most important thing we should understand. Your intellect, the moment you have entered into this type of studies, your intellect will not stop. Your intellect will, that is why the study of Mandukya Upanishad with the Karikas is extremely important. All the questions you have in your life will all get answered. I give you guarantee. Just listen to Mandukya Upanishad with open mind. Don't forget whatever you have studied so far, whatever you may have read, just keep it aside. Just try to understand the thought process of Mandukya Upanishad and go with this approach of understanding this Upanishad with an open mind. Very soon, within a year or so, you will find most of your questions will get answered. 90% of your questions will get answered. Just follow the study, that's all. Okay, anybody else has a question?
I think I have a counter to Deepak ji's question. So he mentioned that Krishna is an avatar and all that, but and he eventually died. But if you look at the shloka number 4-9, I think chapter 4-9 or 10, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo veti tattvataha tyaktva deham punar janma naiti mameti sorjuna. So he has clearly mentioned my janma and karma, they are divyam, divine. They are not material. So they are not at the material level, they are at the spiritual level. And after I leave this body, there is no punar janma for me. That is clearly mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So it's actually different from the normal death.
Yeah, Ramesh, what he is saying is not what Advaita Vedanta is talking, not what the normal schools are talking. He is talking about how ISKCON tries to interpret this verse. ISKCON has a different interpretation of Bhagavad Gita, which is a Dvaita philosophy.
Dvaitam. It does say Dvaitam. Yeah.
Yeah, there is a Dvaita philosophy which is there in the ISKCON, which we say it's fine. You can use Dvaitam. You see, there are thousands of followers of Dvaitam even today. But our understanding is what? Our understanding is when you come to Bhagavad Gita's understanding from Shankaracharya's point of view, it is Advaita philosophy, which we are talking about. The particular mantra you're quoting is very correct. Your interpretation is right. That it is avatara in the Bhagavad Gita is a divine power, and it is something which is for a particular purpose. The Lord takes an avatara and comes into this world because he wants to purify the world, which has got a lot of human beings suffering because of wrong interpretations. So, Ramesh, what you referred is correct. And what Deepak is referring is mainly what the others are interpreting.
Okay.
Different.
Okay. But then when we are saying that Shankaracharya has advocated Advaitam, that's fine. But then if we look at Bhaja Govindam also, which is composed by him, he tells a 80-year-old person or who is trying to study grammar, he is telling him, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam, Bhajagovindam Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukrum Karane. So your grammar will not help you during your final days. Only Bhajagovindam will help. The Govinda will only help. Again, he is telling that you pray to Krishna only. So that is where also there is a confusion. So Advaitam, then
See,
Krishna, is it how is it linked?
yeah. No. Ramesh, you must understand, Shankaracharya has written a lot of texts. Each text is for a different level of student.
Yeah, specific purpose. Yeah.
It's for a different level of student. You see, Bhajagovindam is for a person who is not even got into any spiritual study. He is only studying grammar and grammar and grammar and grammar. The Bhajagovindam is for that person who is intoxicated in studying grammar for 80 years of his life. Now, to that person, he is trying to tell him, come on, grammar is not going to help you. There is some other things which you must study. When he comes to Bhagavad Gita, he has a very beautiful structure in the Bhagavad Gita. Lord Krishna's Bhagavad Gita is complete. You see, Bhagavad Gita is the essence of all Upanishads. So, Bhaja Govindam to study of Bhagavad Gita and then to study Mandukya Upanishad, they are completely different categories of people. So, don't get confused when you come to a higher level of study. Mandukya is a higher level of study. Bhaja Govindam is the lower level. Bhagavad Gita is at the medium level. You can study Bhagavad Gita, but you can see why he wants people to come out of Bhaja Govindam to study Bhagavad Gita. And ultimately, from Bhagavad Gita, you have to mature to Upanishad. From Upanishad, you have to go and study Brahma Sutra. These are the three levels of students. In the universe, you will find students at all these levels. So, Murthy, you are clear?
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Okay, Ramesh.
Quite
Okay.
a few questions answered today
Good. Okay.
from my queries actually. Thank you.
Okay.
Actually,
Thank you,
today's
Shekharji. Thank you.
discussions are very,
Thank
very debating. The moment we talk about Saguna, Nirguna, Nirakara, and all, there will be. But I just would like to, Shekharji, I just going through Panchadasi Mahabhuta Prakarana, where the Vidyaranya Swami gave a very clear and clarity about how this whole world has come actually, how these bhutas have come actually. Everything has come from that Brahman, and very scientifically the whole thing explained. We have done that Tattva Viveka and Mahabhuta Prakarana also. If we just go through, we will have a lot of clarity about this, how this universe is born. So what ultimately says is it is only the Sakti, Maya Sakti of that Brahman.
Yes.
So the whole world, the whole universe is just a manifested form of that Brahman, which is a Maya Sakti. Like the Agni, how do we feel that? Unless and until the fire we see it, then only we feel it. So that is the Sakti of that Agni, that is the power. So similarly, this entire universe is the power Maya Sakti of the Lord. But how that is, the whole thing is born is very beautifully, that is clarified.
Yeah.
That gives a lot of this logical doubts and all that gets clarified. And how the first Akasa and then comes his Vayu and all that. And how the different gunas, Saguna, Nirguna, and how the various gunas are formed. So very beautifully explained, very scientific. So I mean,
Thank you, Venkatesh. Thank you.
So the last, sir, I want permission from you, sir. I've made a booklet on free will versus destiny, around my 30 years research. And this thing has been eating me from quite some time. And, I think, hearing Taittiriya Upanishad where they talk about free will, and I'm not agreeing at all that there is free will. I completely believe there is no free will. So I've made a nice booklet with all the all the possible contradictions and questions. Can I send it to you on your?
Yeah, please send it to me by email.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay.
On your WhatsApp, can I send it?
WhatsApp, you can send it to me. No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. So we'll stop here. If there is any other questions, you can write to me. It's been a long session. Thank you. And we'll continue the Karikas. So from next week onwards, we're going to do the Karikas of Gaudapada Acharya. 9 Karikas we are going to study. Before we study the 7th mantra. The 7th mantra is the ultimate central mantra of the entire Mandukya Upanishad. So
And
Gaudapada Acharya will make us ready for the 7th mantra in the next 9 verses of the commentary of Gaudapada. These are very interesting sessions. Try to attend as much as you can. And next week, we will probably start the meditation of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, the verses which talk about Atma. I want to again bring the knowledge, all those verses which deal with Atma in Bhagavad Gita. We'll try to meditate. I'll also ask Vijaya if she can record those verses for our meditation. Thank you.
Thank you,
Om.
Shekharji.
Thank you, sir. We love you.
Hari
We love you,
Om.
sir. We love you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you,
As of-
Shekharji.
Thank you.
Hari Om.